Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Frankincense Essential Oil Spotlight webinar class. I'm so excited you could be here today, and so is Frankincense. Frankincense and I are your official hosts, so the webinar will be very grounded in great information, and by the end, you'll find yourself breathing deeply and feeling very centered, okay? So good. Before we really jump into frankincense's information and start talking about the 5 recipes and all the essential oils, I just want to quickly introduce myself. For those of you that are brand new to AromaHead Institute, I'm Andrea Bouget, and I am the founder of AromaHead. And for those of you that are AromaHead students or graduates, it is so sweet to see you here. Welcome to another AromaHead webinar. I'm just thrilled to offer this webinar class. I have so much I want to share with you about frankincense. I do want to thank all of you for taking the time to be in this class with me. A while back, I did the lavender spotlight webinar class together, and it was such a huge success that everybody asked for more. So frankincense asked me if it could be next. And of course I said yes, because I love frankincense. So let's start with a couple of webinar logistics. Frankincense and I will present for about 2 hours. And I know you're going to be writing in lots of questions, so we'll be answering them as I go along. And then at the end of the 2-hour webinar, I'm going to stay on for a 1-hour question and answer, so I can personally answer even more of your questions. And finally, after we're done, we're going to upload this class into your account at AromaHead. And for those of you on the live webinar, as of tomorrow, probably late in the day, you'll find this recording and a separate Q&A recording in your account at AromaHead. You'll also have a beautiful recipe PDF and a copy of the webinar slides. And of course, you have lifetime access to all of it. Okay, here's the class outline. I'm going to talk about the property of the oils. I'm going to explain why I chose each essential oil for each specific recipe. Of course, we'll talk about the properties of frankincense and a bunch of different blends. You're going to learn 7 additional essential oils, and we're going to go over 7 ways to use frankincense hydrosol. Very excited about that. So let's begin with a story about frankincense. And by the way, this webinar is all about Boswellia carteri, but I will mention the other frankincense species during the Q&A. So I wrote about frankincense in my book, The Heart of Aromatherapy. And I want to read a small part of it to you that I think really highlights frankincense's personality. I treated all the essential oils as characters in my book, which was a lot of fun. They each got their own personality, their own hobby, some kind of job they might like to do, something that just really illustrated the oil's property and the way that oil can support us in a very fun and memorable way. I feel like treating the oils as characters and friends can make their properties even easier to remember and can help us more easily decide which ones to choose to blend with. Okay, so are you ready for frankincense's story? All right. Frankincense runs a meditation center in the middle of town. Its doors are always open, and you're welcome to come anytime you'd like to reconnect with yourself. The entire building was handmade piece by piece with love and attention to detail. It may seem a little exotic at first, but once you go, you'll feel right at home and you'll want to keep coming back. There's a main room where you can sit quietly and meditate with others, and a variety of smaller rooms where you can go if you'd like a little alone time. Frankincense believes in vibrant health and that it comes from within, and that there are many ways to access it. It teaches several kinds of yoga, tai chi, meditation, and it has a class specifically focused on deep, healthy breathing. Frankincense makes all its own resin incenses and always has a blend burning to help students deepen their breath and calm their minds. It will even be happy to give you a bag of resins to take home. Frankincense even offers relaxing muscle massages in the private rooms with calm music, and you'll love the skin soothing massage oil that he uses. Frankincense wants its meditation center to be a quiet spot in the middle of town and a peaceful spot in the middle of your day. Okay, so that's my story. I hope it helps you get a beginning feel for frankincense. I want to take a special moment here just to pause and really acknowledge the role of the essential oil distillers in our lives, because they're the ones, obviously, that are growing the plants and producing the precious oils that we use. And I want to tell you about an amazing frankincense distillery called Buzz Wellness. Buzz Wellness is owned by 4 amazing people: Maddie, Jamie, Casey, and Bill. And their distillery is in Vermont. And what they do is they import the frankincense and myrrh resins from the harvesters in Somaliland, and they distill the essential oil and the hydrosol in Vermont. And that oil is then sold all over the world. This is Madi. I just love his smile. Isn't he great? He's such a bright spirit. He's a native of Somaliland and the founder of Buzz Wellness. And he has this amazing desire, this deep desire to educate people on the wonderful benefits of frankincense and myrrh, and also to help the Somali people understand the value that's placed on the resins that they harvest in the world market. He believes that when he can empower the Somali people with his knowledge, then the people of his country will be able to pull themselves out of poverty and create a more hopeful future. And he has had this dream and vision to have a business that would benefit the people of Somaliland. So in 2005, he teamed up with Jamie and Casey and Bill, and they began to actualize that. So when the Buzz Wellness team got together, they started importing and selling resins. And then they expanded to distilling frankincense and myrrh, essential oil, and hydrosol. The resin, in case you don't know, is harvested by hand in Somaliland, carried out of the mountains, transported by truck, shipped by boat to the port of Montreal, and is then driven to their distillery in Vermont. So Buzz Wellness, they're dedicated to fair trade, sustainably sourced resins. They're very interested in ensuring thriving trees and a thriving Somali community. They're such great people. Buzz Wellness has the first ever USDA certified organic frankincense. That's actually really inspiring to me because they worked really hard to earn that certification. They made it a priority and they achieved their goal. And their team was they're just so dedicated to taking care of the trees, to make sure they're tapped sustainably. They've established very respectful relationships with the local communities in Somaliland. So you can probably tell I have a lot of respect and love for the Buzz Wellness team because they take such good care of the people that supply their resins. They're always finding ways to give back to the communities that they work with. I've been to their distillery many times. Every time I meet with their team, I become more and more aware of how special and unique their work is and how their hearts are just at the center of all of it. Here's the tree. I thought it would be really great to see the tree. Look at that environment, right? It grows in such a harsh, dry climate. I always think it's amazing to see the plants in their home environment. So you see the white part on the trunk? That's the resin. It's just beautiful. It's dripping down the trunk of the tree right now in this picture. Amazing pictures, right? Frankincense just always reminds me that every moment is special. There's something about the way the tree sends forth this gorgeous resin. It's such a healing agent. Whenever a wound is made in the trunk of the bark, it's there to heal it. It just strikes me as a beautiful metaphor for the way frankincense can help us tap into our own inner strength, our own inner peace, and help us heal from the inside out. Okay, so let's start by talking about some of the ways that frankincense can really shine in a blend. It's deeply relaxing and restorative. I love diffusing it. It helps us breathe more deeply as we inhale the aroma. It offers immune support. What a gift that is. It helps bring relief to pain of sore muscles, joints. It does this by being amazing at calming inflammation. And it's really gentle and healing for the skin. So, by the way, did you download or print the webinar worksheet? If so, I'm going to refer to it throughout the webinar. If you didn't download it, don't worry, because I'll repeat the questions for you here. So the first question on your webinar worksheet is, what are 5 ways that frankincense can really shine in a blend? So I'll just say the 5 ways again, so you can write them down in your worksheet. This will help you keep track of the information I'm going to be offering. Okay, so 5 ways frankincense can really shine in a blend. 1, it's deeply relaxing and restorative. 2, it can help us breathe more deeply as we inhale the aroma. 3, it offers immune support. 4, it brings pain relief to sore muscles and joints. And 5, it's gentle and healing for the skin. Okay, good. So, Frankincense wants to teach you 5 blends and discuss all the oils in each blend, so you know why those particular oils are included and how they support frankincense's work. And I also have this exciting educational bonus that I mentioned earlier. Later in the webinar, I'm going to share 7 different ways that frankincense hydrosol can be used. Personally, I'm a huge fan of frankincense hydrosol. I'll go into more details about it later in the webinar. But for now, let me just say that I love how gentle frankincense hydrosol is, even for really sensitive skin. I even trust it for small children and babies. The hydrosol has its own nourishing properties, but it's just not as concentrated as the essential oil. We'll talk more about it in a while. Let's begin by going briefly over the 5 blends we're going to talk about on the webinar class. The first blend is called the Frankincense Relaxation Diffuser Blend. You're going to love this for calm in the evening, for reducing stress at the end of the day. So excited to share this with you. The second blend is the Frankincense Massage and Yoga Diffuser Blend. This one is great to use during massage or yoga, of course, but really during any kind of movement practice, body work, meditation. It's beautiful. The third blend is the Frankincense Forest Incense. You can use this incense to bring such a beautiful aroma for any kind of ritual, even as simple as just starting your morning off in a really centered way. I think that this is frankincense's most favorite of the 5 blends because it loves the gentle smoke to cleanse its home. This is also great when you're journaling, maybe meditating, making gratitude lists, or anytime you just want to feel more reflective. Have the aroma assist you. The 4th blend we're going to discuss is the Frankincense and Coconut Oil's Fabulous Deodorant. I don't know about you, but I love the idea of supporting our immune systems with our deodorant. It's such a simple and creative idea. Under our arms is such a sensitive spot. It's a responsive part of the body, and I want whatever you put on your skin every day to be really supporting your health. And then the 5th blend is Frankincense Head and Neck Relief Oil. This is just an awesome blend for relieving pain. Can't wait to share it with you. So if you're already familiar with frankincense essential oil, I know a lot of you are, you've probably noticed already that these 5 recipes are touching on some of frankincense's most popular therapeutic qualities, such as how it encourages relaxation, helps you feel more calm, helps you breathe more deeply, how it's a great immune support and great for pain relief. And also, I love how gentle it is on the skin. All right, so now that you have the outline and the overview of what we're going to do, we can go through all 5 blends. And then Frankincense can tell us why it invited each additional oil into the blend and how to best use the blend. You ready? Okay. Let's get started with the very first blend, Frankincense's Relaxing Diffuser Blend. So this is a stock blend, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. The intention of this blend is to feel calm and restored after a long day. And so we're going to make this larger stock blend first, and then we're going to add a few drops of the blend into the diffuser. I'll explain how this all works on the next slide, because stock blends are fabulous, and I think you're going to want to make them a lot once you know how to make them. But first, let's just look at the recipe. I've put together 40 drops of frankincense, Boswellia carteri, 20 drops of green mandarin, Citrus reticulata, and 5 drops of jasmine, Jasminum grandiflorum. And the aroma of this blend is beautiful. It's resinous. It has these warm floral notes from the jasmine. It has a gorgeous hint of bright citrus from the mandarin. All 3 of these oils are very calming and reassuring. So the blend ends up being this perfect companion for a relaxing evening. Now, since frankincense's intention is to always bring calm and reassurance, it wanted 2 other oils to join in the blend who knew just how to help people unwind. That's why frankincense chose green mandarin and jasmine. Before we go on, I just answered the second question on your webinar worksheet. What is the intention of frankincense's relaxation diffuser blend? The answer is really simple, just to calm down and restore yourself after a long day. Well, I mean, the answer is simple, right? But actually unwinding at the end of the day is not always simple. So this blend can definitely help. So what's a stock blend? Okay, so for those of you that have never made one, a stock blend is a blend of pure essential oil that you make ahead of time, and then you can use it in different applications. So let me give you an example. There are 65 drops in this relaxation diffuser stock blend. So you can make the blend, but of course you're not going to use 65 drops in your diffuser at once. You're just going to use a handful of drops in your diffuser, and then you'll have plenty to use again. Sometimes people use 5 drops, 6 drops, depends on the space. You can also use the stock blend to make an inhaler to feel more at ease during stressful times, or you could make a body lotion for calming in the evening after work, or even a room spray if you're feeling tense and you just want to relax. Good. A stock blend is just a pure blend of undiluted essential oils made ahead of time and ready to use as needed. You could make a stock blend for sleep, you could make one for pain, one for colds and flu. Then you don't have to figure out your blend in the moment that you need it, which is not always the easiest time to think through your blend. You can make it ahead of time when you're focused, and then you can just add the drops to whatever application feels right to you. For example, you could add a couple drops to a bath salt. You could add it to a spray, an inhaler, a lotion. And by the way, that was the answer to question number 3 on your webinar worksheet, which is, what's a stock blend? And let me just tell you the answer again. A stock blend is a blend of pure, undiluted essential oils that we make ahead of time so that it's ready to use as needed. Okay, and it can be used in different applications, like I mentioned, a bath, a spray, and inhaler. Good. So how do each of these oils, frankincense, green mandarin, and jasmine, contribute to the effectiveness of this relaxation diffuser blend. Remember, frankincense wants to give you this blend so you can quiet your mind, so you can calm down and restore yourself after a long day. Now, we've begun talking about frankincense. Let's go a little deeper into its benefits and let's explore it just a little bit more. So energetically, frankincense is known to support reflection and introspection. That's why it's so often used in places like churches, in rituals for meditation. It's because the aroma of the oil and of the resin burning helps us feel centered and grounded. Have you ever felt like your mind is just so full of information and to-do lists and things to remember? Almost like your thoughts themselves are heavy and won't stop chasing each other around in your head? If that sounds familiar, frankincense is great for all that. It can really help clear that cluttered state of mind so you feel more balanced. Given frankincense's ability to bring such stability and balance, it's right at home in this relaxation diffuser blend. It can also help release tension and worry, that kind of overthinking that can keep you awake at night. So this is actually a great blend to diffuse in the bedroom before sleep. I've also found that people suffering from asthma or ongoing respiratory conditions can benefit from using frankincense on a really regular basis. And diffusing it can inspire the kind of ease that supports deeper breathing and reduces respiratory congestion. It's so supportive and wonderful. Now, when you make a stock blend like this, its shelf life depends on the shelf life of each oil going in. So it's very easy to figure out how long it's going to last because you just look at the shelf life of all three oils and see what the shortest shelf life is, and you've got your shelf life for your blend. Okay, so before we discuss frankincense's aroma, you might want to just jot down the answer to question number 4 on your webinar worksheet. The question is, why might you want to use frankincense at the end of the day? And the answer is to help quiet your mind, to help you feel calmer, and to help you feel more restored. Okay, you might want to just jot that down. I'm seeing all your questions as I'm going along, and I'm trying to weave in the answers. And I'll also be answering all your questions in the Q&A at the end. Okay, great. Thanks for all your wonderful comments. So I love talking about the aroma of frankincense. It's just such a special aroma. Frankincense's aromatic note, I like to describe it as deep, resinous, coniferous, which if you don't know what that means, it just means that it smells like a conifer. In other words, it smells like pine or spruce or a fir tree. It's also got this sweet woodiness, and it's got a balsamic aroma. Now, I think that the aroma is familiar and comforting, and yet it's rare enough in daily life that it makes smelling it really makes the moment stand out. So it has this, as I mentioned, coniferous or pine-like, slightly lemony top note, which has this clarifying, very opening effect. The top note is what you smell when you first inhale the oil. The top note is the aromas that are most volatile. That means that they evaporate most quickly. It's like the top note jumps out of the bottle at you. It's your first impression of the oil you're smelling, but don't stop there because that's just the top note. I mean, it's great, but then there's other layers. So I always like to smell oils for a while because then if you keep smelling frankincense, it has this sweet, woody, balsamic middle note that feels really calming and stabilizing when you smell it. The middle note definitely arises as you smell the oil longer, after you get past that initial top note aroma. And there is this beautiful aromatic synergy of the top and middle notes that make the aroma feel centering and restorative and calming. And then you'll notice the base note. It's resinous, it's woody, so grounding. So when you spend time with frankincense and take long, deep breaths of the aroma, you'll notice all of these notes, the top, middle, and base notes, they kind of play together and you can bring them all in the same breath. It's kind of magical. And one last thing, if you're not sure what balsamic smells like, because that's kind of a funny one, and those of you that are newer to aromatherapy might not know what I mean, just go ahead and smell some balsamic vinegar, especially some aged balsamic, and smell it right next to your frankincense. And the similarity in the balsamic vinegar and the frankincense will highlight for you what that aroma is. I just love frankincense. Okay, so let's go on to the next oil in the blend, which is mandarin. Let's talk about the brilliant mandarin. Now, there are 3 common options when you buy mandarin, and I want to talk about the difference. There's green mandarin, yellow mandarin, and red mandarin. And they're each produced at a different phase of the fruit's ripeness. So the chemistry and the orangey aroma is a little different for each one. Frankincense actually loves all 3 of them. The green mandarin is pressed from the small, immature green fruits. And the aroma is fresh, it's a little sweet, and it's definitely a little tangy. The yellow mandarin is pressed from fruits that are more developed. They're yellow fruits, and that aroma is a little sweeter. It has a really nice balance of tangy or sour with this sweet. The third one is red mandarin. And the red mandarin is pressed from the fully ripe, mature fruits. You can see the picture, they're really orangey red. That aroma is definitely the sweetest of all 3. Now, they're all pretty similar in their therapeutic actions, but the aromas definitely vary. I feel like energetically, all the mandarins are calming and bright and uplifting. I use mandarin a lot in blends for kids because its soothing effect can just help them feel more calm, and it can really help ease up anxiety and tension. Now, for this blend, you can feel free to use any of these 3, and it might even be fun sometimes to get all 3 to compare the aromas. If you do buy all 3, you can consider yourself officially obsessed with essential oils. I just can't help myself. I love buying different varieties and different species of the same oil. I just feel like it helps me learn the aromas and really deepen my connection to the oil and to the plants. I've just done it over time, and I love that. It's really fun to explore and experiment. Now, for this recipe, we're using green mandarin for its emotional properties of being calm and bright and uplifting. And it might initially sound like calm and uplifting are different, but in fact, when we feel calmer, it's so much easier to feel emotionally uplifted and bright. When we feel tense and anxious, it's really hard to feel bright and happy and uplifted. So anything that brings in that calm feeling, especially a citrus like this, can then also help you feel happier, uplifted, brighter. Does that make sense? In topical blends, mandarin is also used for supporting digestion. All the citrus oils, including green mandarin, are generally just great at caring for our bellies. They help reduce indigestion, ease nausea, calm cramps. Like if you've ever eaten a little too much or even tried a new dish that didn't quite agree with you, try making a cream with some mandarin in it and applying it to your belly and low back. It can really help. You could even just keep it simple. Take 2 drops of green mandarin, Put a palmful of your favorite natural cream or lotion in your hand and rub it into your belly and low back. You can do the same thing for tight, achy muscles. Mandarin is just so great at easing up tension. You can also add it to blends for cold and flu. And frankincense always likes to join mandarin in blends for easing up tight muscles or for healing a cold or flu. They definitely share a lot of similar interests. By the way, I saw some questions about mandarin and phototoxicity. Mandarin oil is not phototoxic. None of the mandarins are phototoxic. So you can use them easily, unlike the bergamot orange, which produces bergamot essential oil, which is phototoxic. We'll talk more about what that means a little later, but I just wanted to make a note right away for you that while some of the citruses are phototoxic, green, yellow, and red mandarin are not. So I mentioned that green mandarin's aroma is citrusy and tart and tangy, that like fresh fruit, sweet, but not quite as sweet as yellow or red mandarin. So for this blend, I specifically wanted the tart, tangy aspect of the aroma of the green mandarin, because when blended with frankincense's piney, woody, and slightly lemony aroma, and blended with the intensely sweet floral aroma of jasmine, it is absolutely awesome. So I'm just going to say that again, because from an aromatic perspective, this is a beautiful blend. You have the tart, tangy aroma of the green mandarin, the woody, piney frankincense aroma that has that slight lemon tone, and the very sweet floral aroma of the jasmine. All together is absolutely awesome. I can't wait for you to smell this. You can make it right now while we're talking. Yes. All right. So, of course, any of the mandarins will definitely blend beautifully with frankincense and jasmine, but they'll all be slightly different. So if you're one of those people that ends up buying all three, you could try all three. I just really appreciate the tart, tangy aspect of the green mandarin for this particular blend. Now, before we go on to jasmine, I want to mention that I just answered question number 5 on the webinar worksheet. The question is, what are the 3 most common options available when buying mandarin oil? And the answer, of course, is green, yellow, and red. And just to remind you, they're all pretty similar in their therapeutic action, but their aromas definitely do vary. All right, so let's shift gears and talk about jasmine, the third oil in this beautiful blend. And so remember, this is the blend that's the relaxing diffuser stock blend. That's what we're talking about right now. And this is the third oil in the blend. Jasmine Absolute. So beautiful. Frankincense always says, if the aromatherapy world had royalty, jasmine just might be the queen. Now, its Latin name is Jasminum grandiflorum, and it's also called royal jasmine flower. And I've also seen it called Queen of the Night, because some of the species of jasmine only open their blossoms and release their fragrances at night. These jasmine blossoms need the royal treatment, don't you think? They have to be carefully harvested by hand at night or before sunrise. Before the sun comes up, they have to be hand-picked, because that's when the aroma, that's when the essential oil is most concentrated. This means that jasmine is a very precious essential oil, so you can generally expect to pay a little bit more for it, given the hand harvesting before sunrise. Now, jasmine is used a lot for tension, to reduce tension and worry, and it's really nice if you can't sleep, especially if you're feeling anxious or you're experiencing some grief, and those emotions are keeping you awake. Jasmine can ease that restlessness, help you feel calmer, soothe your heart and your nervous system so you can sleep. My friend Gabriel Moshe wrote about jasmine in his book. His book is Aromatherapy for Healing the Spirit. Beautiful book, Aromatherapy for Healing the Spirit. And I just love what he wrote about jasmine. I want to share it with you. He said, the therapeutic value of jasmine is inseparable from the exquisite, comforting sweetness of its aroma and the effect that it has on the mind and emotions. Jasmine both relaxes and supports the heart, calms the nerve, releasing tension and uplifting the mind. That's a direct quote from Gabriel's book, Aromatherapy for Healing the Spirit. Jasmine is also really nourishing for the skin, and I usually add it to blends for three main purposes. I use it for its incredibly beautiful floral aroma. I use it to calm the heart and ease tension. And the third is to nourish the skin. So nice. Now that aroma, oh my gosh, jasmine's aroma is so intense. It's rich and heavy, and it's diffusive in nature. Now, what do I mean by diffusive? Diffusive means that when you open the bottle of jasmine, it travels so fast into the air that you can smell it literally on the other side of the room almost right away, almost the minute you open it. Not all oils are like that. Not all oils are diffusive. If you open a bottle of sandalwood, for example, you can barely smell it at all, and certainly not going to smell it on the other side of the room. So jasmine has this commanding presence. It's got a warm floral aroma. It's lily-like. It's fruity, and it's even got spicy notes. And by the way, I want to mention that if you don't have the oils we're discussing, or you just don't have them with you right now as you're listening, I would recommend that if you ever do get them, or you can have them in front of you, that you either look over any notes you've made on the aromas or listen to this webinar class again and smell the oils as you either read and listen. So if you're listening again, smell the jasmine as I'm describing it so you can see if you can grasp warmth, floral, lily, fruity, spicy. Open the bottle and walk to the other end of the room and see if you can smell it. This is such a great way to learn about the different layers of aroma, to have someone guiding you through it like this, or to be reading about the aroma as you're smelling. Jasmine's aroma, it's so important in perfumery, and it's expensive because as I mentioned, it's harvested by hand at night or in the early morning before the sun comes up. But it's very precious, and perfumers love to use it. And you need very little for a pronounced impact. So just a small amount goes a really long way. And it has a really long-lasting aroma, so powerful that I find even one drop in 30 mils or an ounce of a carrier is enough. Try it. Get 30 mils or 1 ounce of jojoba and put 1 drop of jasmine in and mix it up and smell that. It's amazing how strong it is. Its aroma definitely brings a feeling of balance, reduces anxiety, leaves you uplifted. So it's often used as an antidepressant. Now, before we go on to our second blend, let's answer question 6 on your worksheet. The question is, which 2 beautiful common names did I mention for jasmine? Do you remember? Royal jasmine flower is one of them, and Queen of the Night is the other. I love those names. Good job. All right. So that completes our first blend, the diffuser blend that had 40 drops frankincense, the Carteri species, 20 drops green mandarin, so beautiful, and then just the few drops of jasmine absolute. Okay, all right. So let's go on to our second blend. The second blend is Frankincense's Massage and Yoga Diffuser Blend. Now the blend has 15 drops of frankincense. And as I mentioned earlier on this webinar, I'm just talking about the Carteri, or sometimes called Carterii species. And so that's the frankincense we're using in each one of the blends, okay? So 15 drops of frankincense, 10 drops of juniper, Juniperus communis, 20 drops of elemi, Canarium usonicum, and 15 drops of bergamot, Citrus bergamia. Now, this is another stock blend. And now, in case you're new and you didn't know what a stock blend is, now you know. So this is just a perfect blend to diffuse while you're getting a massage or during any kind of movement practice. Frankincense always diffuses itself in the yoga room of its meditation center. And this blend the stock part of this blend means that we're making a larger amount ahead of time, remember? And then that we use just a few drops of this blend in the diffuser whenever we want. So I actually used to use more drops in diffusers than I use now. I used to think like, oh, I'll use 10 or 15 drops, and I found that I definitely didn't need to use that much. Now I frequently use just 5 or 6 drops in my diffuser at any given time. Now, of course, it depends on how large the space is, if there are any open windows, what your intention is for diffusing. But try 5 or 6 drops and see how it goes. And then you could also use this blend in an inhaler. You could put 15 drops into a blank inhaler. The aroma is so rich and deep. Beautiful. It's layered. So let's talk about each of these essential oils and how they contribute specifically to the effectiveness of this blend. Now, of course, we'll start again with frankincense, and we'll go a little deeper. Because as I mentioned earlier, frankincense is a resin produced by the tree, in this case, the Carteri tree, when the trunk is wounded. And the resin is brought forth from deep within the tree to heal the wound. I find that frankincense essential oil brings this same quality to massage and to movement practices. So during those times, we can access the deep reserves of inner strength and really heal in some profound ways. So I've specifically formulated this blend to offer those beautiful qualities of inner strength and healing, so that the aromas can help you feel more focused inward and quieter, so you can soak up whatever healing is needed. Remember the story I told you about frankincense from my book a little while ago, and how frankincense runs a meditation center right in the middle of town? And also that frankincense believes that vibrant health comes from within, and that there are many ways to access that. I want to say again that I created those essential oil stories to highlight the personality of each oil, so that you can really get a sense of when to use the oils. So I told you that frankincense story because I want to suggest that you use it in blends to support reflection, inner calm, to reduce anxiety, to deepen breathing, and to give you an overall sense of inner strength. And that's what this blend is about, and that's what frankincense is about. So as frankincense calms the nervous system, it is then also restorative. Because once we're calmer, we can begin to heal. We can begin to feel energetic and restored. So if you're feeling anxious or tense, and maybe you're doing some kind of movement or stretching or centering or just even taking a walk, this is the perfect oil to have with you, frankincense. Now, the name frankincense is derived from the Old French word franc, meaning free or pure, and the Latin word incensum, which means to kindle. I love knowing that. I love knowing where the word frankincense comes from. And that's question number 7 on your worksheet. Where does the name frankincense derive from? And the answer again is the old French word franc, meaning free or pure, and the Latin word incensum, which means to kindle. Isn't that beautiful? Now, frankincense, let's talk about why frankincense chose juniper for this blend. Juniper can take care of so many aspects of health. It's helpful for respiratory support, immune support. It's great at easing pain in muscles and joints. It's really helpful to reduce swelling and encourage circulation. It's so great for cold days because it has this nice warming effect. And what I want to pay most attention to right in this moment for this blend are juniper's energetic properties. Because juniper is so uplifting and it inspires this sense of determination. It's a very determined, directed aroma. Juniper, I feel like juniper knows that you can do whatever you set your mind to. That's my mini story about juniper. It knows that you can do whatever you set your mind to. Juniper is traditionally used to cleanse a space and offer a sense of protection to help us feel more positive, more at ease. I find it really useful in blends when people are feeling really burdened or overwhelmed. The aroma of juniper can help us release worry and negative thinking. Just try to spend some time with juniper. Take in the aroma and notice how you feel. And then, this is one of my favorite things to do, then blend juniper with just frankincense. Now I'm referring to juniper berry, okay? Juniper berry essential oil. So blend it with just frankincense and see how that feels and smells. Notice how you feel. Get ready to be inspired because let me tell you, the combination of frankincense and juniper is just beautiful. So frankincense asked me to include juniper in its massage and yoga diffuser blend, specifically for its wonderful energetic properties. And of course, I immediately agreed. Now, juniper essential oil has a very unique aroma. It's warm and piney. It's resinous and woody. And the scent helps you feel grounded and uplifted, just like we talked about all at once. The aroma really is very different than anything else, and it blends well with all conifers and all citrus oils. So make a note of that. Play with blending your juniper with other conifers, other pines and spruces and firs, and with all the citrus oils. I do personally love it with bergamot. Juniper and bergamot's beautiful. Now, here's a little known fact that I learned from Gabriel Moshe. I mentioned Gabriel earlier, the author of Aromatherapy for Healing the Spirit. Gabriel points out that Hippocrates, who's known as the father of medicine, frequently mentioned juniper in his medical works, and that this reflects how often juniper was used in ancient Greece. Hippocrates saw to it that during outbreaks of the plague in Athens, branches of juniper were burned in all the public places to fumigate the air. It's just brilliant. And this practice continued all the way until the late 19th century, when juniper was burned in French hospitals during smallpox epidemics. It's got a big history for cleansing. And that's just one of the examples of juniper's uses in history. It is no surprise that there were many other ancient peoples who used juniper as incense too. And energetically, it's still used for many of the same reasons, even today. So if you use juniper in your blends, especially for an incense or for a diffuser blend, you can feel like you're part of a long tradition throughout history. You can diffuse juniper berry to create a fresh clean, positive atmosphere so that you feel grounded, your senses are activated, and you feel restored. Your energy levels feel restored. Now, that's the answer to question number 8 on your webinar worksheet. The question is, what are some of the energetic benefits of diffusing juniper berry? And the answer is that the aroma can help us to feel grounded, to activate our senses, and to restore our energy levels. So rather than inhaling the smoke from the incense or burning juniper branches, if you can't do that, you can create a diffuser blend with juniper. And it's just right for a yoga space or a massage studio where burning incense might just be too much smoke. And you can help people with the diffuser blend to feel in touch with their deepest, truest self and to really inspire people to take action from that space. So beautiful. All right, are you ready to talk about Alimi? I love Alimi. It's made from a resin. And like most oils made from resins, all oils actually made from resins, it has this wonderful skin healing property. And it might become one of your favorite oils. It's not so well known, not as well known as frankincense or juniper, but I think you're going to really love it. If you haven't used it before, you might actually even come away with a new favorite oil today. So as I mentioned, it's made from a resin, and it's made from the resin of a large tropical tree from the Philippines. The tree is actually related to frankincense and myrrh, and it exudes this natural yellow resin, but it does it differently than frankincense and myrrh. When the tree sprouts leaves, the resin is produced. Isn't that interesting? I don't know any other tree like that. When the tree sprouts its leaves, the resin is produced. And the resin then solidifies on contact with the air, and then it's broken off and it's distilled to produce this exotic, beautiful essential oil. Frankincense thinks of Alimi as family, and they've always been really close friends. And energetically, people use Alimi to help calm fear, reduce fatigue, to protect themselves from what we might often call negative energy. The aroma is very calming and clarifying. The oil is often diffused for these purposes, which is why frankincense knew it was just the right oil for the massage and yoga diffuser blend. Now, Alimi has some wonderful other qualities when you use it topically, and I want to mention them. Even though they're not directly related to the blend we're talking about, I still love to share all these other properties of the oils with you. So these are the qualities that Alimi has also in common with frankincense. So like frankincense, Alimi is great for all sorts of skin issues, and I especially like it in blends for reducing scars and supporting tissue regrowth. It's got such wonderful skin healing properties. I've also found Alimi to be very effective in blends for all sorts of lung and sinus issues, especially allergies or really heavy colds or the flu. It's very comforting and it can help clear congestion, and it's so nice on your skin. So before we go on to talk about Alimi's aroma, let's review the answer to number 9 on the webinar worksheet. How is Alimi essential oil produced? It's distilled from a resin of a large tropical tree from the Philippines. Okay, good job. And for those of you that do know Alimi and you're familiar with it, I know it's so easy to love, isn't it? It's amazing. It has this beautiful aroma. Look at that beautiful picture. Isn't that cool? That's actually the resin itself that's drying in this gorgeous teardrop shape. So its aroma is balsamic. It's lemony and spicy like black pepper. So that's kind of amazing. It's got a lemon black pepper aroma, and it has undercurrents of this woody, warm smell that's very radiant. And the aroma itself can help you when you feel fatigued. If you have low energy, if you feel depressed, because the aroma itself is uplifting and energizing. Just imagine fresh lemon and the smell of black pepper, right? Immediately you would feel energized and refreshed. You know what I love? This is just a side note, but I love that when I imagine aromas, I'm not even smelling them, but I am imagining them. I feel like I can feel the impact of the aroma and I can actually smell it. It's like I'm smelling it even though I'm not. It's in my mind's eye, it's in my experience. So once I get familiar with aromas, I can conjure them up for myself. Can you do that? Isn't that an incredible thing? Very inspiring. I love how Alimi really leaves you feeling centered and grounded as well as energized. It's the lemon spicy pepper that's the energizing part, and it's the balsamic woody aspect that leaves you feeling centered and grounded. It is truly incredible how much aroma affects our mood. There's been so much research done on this, on the way that aroma can affect our or impact our emotions. And if you take time to really look at the science of it, it's so inspiring. The aromas are really there when we need them. And that's part of why I love diffusing and why I'm sharing 2 diffuser blends for you on this webinar. Because the aroma themselves, not even putting them on topically, although I certainly love to do that, and we are going to talk about topical blends, but just the aroma itself is so powerful. I feel like the aromas are just really there when we need them. And I think you're going to love the aroma combination of frankincense and Alimi together. There's such a true synergy between all resin oils. You'll notice that in this blend, that the piney aspect of the juniper really complements the woody balsamic aroma of the frankincense and Alimi. So listen to this carefully, okay? The piney aspect of the juniper, it complements the woody balsamic aroma of the frankincense and Alimi. And then the frankincense adds a sweet note, while the Alimi adds this wonderful lemon peppery note. Okay, so you're combining all of that. And then when you add the bergamot, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. You're adding this citrusy bergamot aroma, and it is just truly beautiful. I cannot wait for you to try it. You have to let me know what you think, okay? Let's talk about bergamot. Speaking of bergamot, I just want to immerse. Let's immerse ourselves in this gorgeous oil for a few minutes. So frankincense asked bergamot to be in its massage and yoga diffuser blend for a couple of reasons. First off, using bergamot in a diffuser immediately eliminates the concern of phototoxicity. So for any of you that are new to essential oils, I just want to tell you how important it is to know that bergamot is very phototoxic. And for those of you that are familiar, I'm so glad that you already know this, that you're experienced with this. But I know there's some really new people listening to this class. So I just want to mention that phototoxicity is a light-induced reaction to a photoactive substance like bergamot. That phototoxic reaction requires both contact with the phototoxic substance and a subsequent exposure to strong UV light, sunlight. Now, did that sentence just stop you in their tracks? Are you just thinking, what did Andrea just say? Because I just gave you a pretty formal definition of phototoxicity. So let me put it in everyday terms, okay? Phototoxicity is a reaction to the sunlight. It's a reaction to the sunlight when you have a phototoxic oil on your skin. And that reaction can cause burning, blistering, and discoloration of your skin, like dark patches and red areas that are very hard to heal and very damaging. And some essential oils are termed phototoxic because they increase the likelihood of a phototoxic reaction. And bergamot is one of those oils. And you really want to be careful if you put it on your skin to only use bergamot on your skin under clothing if you're going to be out in any sort of UV light, even a sun tanning bed. You definitely don't want bergamot exposed to UV light. But the great news is that in a diffuser blend, it doesn't pose any of these concerns because it's not on your skin. And so that's the answer to question 10 on your webinar worksheet. So important. The answer is there's no concern of a phototoxic reaction to bergamot when it's used in a diffuser blend. Now, later we're going to use a small amount of bergamot in a topical blend, and I'll talk about why the amount we're using is safe for the skin. But just for now, I want you to know that you sidestep phototoxic concerns by using bergamot in the blend for inhalation in this diffuser blend. It would be the same if you used it in an inhaler. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? I hope so. If you need to, you can always play back this recording and listen to that again. And I added bergamot to this blend because, like the other citruses, bergamot is so optimistic. It's so bright and uplifting. It's also relaxing, just like sweet oranges. And my friend Gabriel Moget sums it up really well. He says, bergamot helps us to rediscover spontaneity and optimism. Bergamot oil helps us to relax and let go. I love that. My story about bergamot is that it doesn't want you to worry or feel tense about anything. That it's like a friend who notices when you're stressed out and takes a moment to rub the tensions from your shoulders and remind you that life is good. So bergamot eases your stress physically and emotionally. So if you can just remember that little story, that will help you remember when to use it. Bergamot is typically used in blends to calm a tense and tight belly and to relax really stressed muscles. I think of bergamot as a massage therapist. Here's another little story. Think of it as a massage therapist that's only open for business in the evening. So this way, you greatly reduce the chance of phototoxic reactions. And this suits bergamot just fine because it loves to help people relax and it loves to help people release the tension that they may have accumulated throughout the day, physical and emotional tension. So if you've had a stressful day, bergamot will massage your tired muscles in the evening, and it will ease pain, tension, cramps, and just keep you feeling good. All right, so its aroma, so beautiful. It's a citrusy aroma and it's familiar, but at the same time, it's a bit exotic. It's a little different because we don't commonly eat bergamot fruits. They're very sour. So we're primarily using bergamot for its bright, sparkling aroma. Bergamot doesn't have a typical citrus aroma. It's a sharp note that gives an initial citrus impact before you get this softer, sweeter middle note that emerges. And you'll also detect a little lemony facet and neroli-like nuances and peppery notes and even an herbaceous lavender-like element. So let me just say that again because it's complex. When you smell bergamot, it's really different than smelling orange or mandarin. Those aromas are pretty direct. I mean, you just sort of, there are layers, but when you smell orange, you smell orange. But when you smell bergamot, it's different. It's initially sharp, like I just mentioned. It has this initial sharp citrus impact, and then the layers begin. It becomes softer. It's got these sweet middle notes that emerge, these lemony neroli parts, peppery notes, and again, even that herbaceous note that you can you can smell in lavender. So I can't wait for you to smell it and listen to that description at the same time. Now, several years ago, Cindy and I traveled to Calabria in the south of Italy to visit an organic bergamot essential oil distiller. And that's Cindy in the picture, along with the distiller and his cousin and his sister. Cindy, by the way, is the anatomy and physiology teacher at Aroma Head. So the distiller's name is Giuseppe Cazuppi. Isn't that a beautiful name? I love it. This was such a great trip. We drove along the coast in Italy, through the rural countryside, right to the toe and right to Giuseppe's bergamot production facility. And here we learned how the rinds of the fruit are transformed through an abrasion and pressing process into our brilliant, bright olive green essential oil that we know and love. Now, maybe you've never seen the color of bergamot because we buy all of our essential oils in dark bottles to keep the sunlight out so that they don't oxidize as quickly. So unless you've actually poured it out or you've watched the drops going into your blend, you might not know that bergamot is this gorgeous bright olive green. Now, Giuseppe's grandfather began growing a few hundred bergamot orange trees back in 1970. And his father continued the tradition with Giuseppe's help. And now they have over 6,000 beautiful organic bergamot trees. So great. They operate a small, really high quality plant near their bergamot orchard, and they use only the fruit that they cultivate to produce their essential oils. It was incredible talking with them. Well, first of all, we don't speak any Italian, and they didn't speak any English. So the first day or two, we were doing a lot of miming and trying to figure out what each other was saying and asking. It was really funny. But then finally, they brought one of their other relatives into the conversation, and he interpreted. He knew English, so he could interpret for us, which was great. So there are many steps to producing bergamot essential oil, and I want to give you a brief overview so you can get a feel for the work that goes into this beautiful little bottle of essential oil. And if you know me by now, you know that I always like to talk about the distillers that I've visited because it helps us really understand where the oils are coming from and give great respect to the people that grow these plants and produce our oils. It's so important. And so few people ever have any idea where their essential oil actually comes from, other than the bottle with the label on it. So I love bringing this forward and sharing this information with you. Okay, so the fruits are collected from late November to January. And the production process begins just a couple days after the fruits are gathered. And the first step of the process is that the fruits are washed. They're put into a cleaning bath in a large basin, the one you're seeing in this picture. And they're washed with water. And then from that basin, the fruits are sent up and they're going to what we call the peeling and grading machine. They're sent up by a conveyor belt, and they're going to be peeled and graded because the essential oil is primarily in the rind. There's some in the fruit as well, but they're just using the rind or the peel of the fruit. So the next step is the peeling machine. It's a centrifuge with this coarse basket. And the rotation of the basket itself grates and separates the bergamot peel from the fruit. This is just a really cool process to see. Isn't that a great picture? Okay, then the peels are taken from the peeling machine with a flow of water and filtered to remove the substances of the peel from the water. And the filtered water is now full of essential oil. And that is conveyed to a machine that we call a separator that retains the oil of the bergamot while pushing the water back into the peeling machine. I know it's complicated. It's really kind of an amazing process. And then the bergamot peels remain in the separator and they're collected into small cotton bags. And these bags are then put into a power press. Can you imagine trying to understand this process in Italian when you don't speak Italian? I mean, it's hard enough to understand in English, but you get the flow that they're washed and then they go up a conveyor belt and then they're grated and then there's water that goes in with the grated peel, and then the essential oil and the water are separated out, and then the peels are gone. They're put into these cotton bags to be pressed for even more oil. It's such an amazing process. This is the essential oil that is coming out as it's being pressed. Just incredible. Isn't that beautiful? The aroma was amazing. It just filled the space. Everybody was smiling. What a happy job to press the fruits of the bergamot. I just love it. Now, since they only use the peel, I had to ask what they did with all the fruit. And they showed me that the fruit was like shot out of this tube and landed in this big basin. And then they explained that the fruit itself is cooked. And guess who gets to eat it? The bergamot pig. This is their pet pig. And they feed their pet pig all the bergamot fruit, but they actually cook the bergamot fruit first in a big pot over a fire. There was an old man there stirring the bergamot fruit over the fire in this big pot to cook it, and then they cool it and give it to their bergamot pig. I know, it's fun to see all that, isn't it? Yeah, I know. It is one happy pig. And I think that would be a really fun job too. Really great. All right, so I just wanted to put the recipe up again because now we went way away from the recipe and we went to the distillery in Calabria in Italy to see the bergamot. So I want to remind you where we were. We were talking about Frankincense's massage and yoga diffuser blend. And here's the recipe again. We put in the 15 drops of frankincense into the stock blend, the 10 drops of juniper, the 20 drops of elemi, and the 15 drops of bergamot. So now you get to have a sense of why all of these essential oils are so perfect in this diffuser blend. So let's talk a little more about frankincense again. I'm just going back to frankincense throughout the entire webinar, of course, and talking about its use in every one of these recipes and then how the other oils complement it. Okay, so frankincense has this long history of being used during meditation and during rituals. So what better way to use frankincense than in incense? It feels right at home in any kind of incense blend. You ready for the third recipe? So far we've gone over the 2 diffuser blend recipes, the one for relaxing in the evening and the one for when you're doing some kind of centering process or movement process. Now we're going to the third blend, the wonderful incense recipe. Here it is, frankincense's forest incense. Now this blend uses 10 drops of frankincense, 8 drops of cypress, Cupressus sempervirens, 2 drops of jasmine, Jasminum grandiflorum, or 2 drops of ylang ylang, Cananga odorata. So in this blend, I'm giving you a choice of 2 drops jasmine or 2 drops ylang ylang, and we'll talk about that as we go along. Now, personally, I love making incense sticks, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do, a very simple process. Now, I have to admit, it's not necessarily practical to make your own incense sticks in terms of trying to sell them, because it really does cost more than the average incense stick that most people buy. It costs more because you're using pure essential oils, not inexpensive synthetics that are used in most incense. But if you personally enjoy burning a stick of incense, you're gonna love making these for yourself and for your friends. I've been making them for years and I love it. Now, of course, using pure essential oil means that you're not breathing in synthetics, and that is another thing to celebrate, right? Now, I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar class that this incense will bring a beautiful aroma for any ritual, even as simple as starting your morning off in a very centered way. That's how I use this. I burn incense every morning. I think that this is frankincense's favorite blend because frankincense just loves using gentle smoke to cleanse its home. I feel like just taking a few minutes to burn an incense stick and watch the smoke can be the most precious ritual. I find it very calming and centering. I just sit and I burn the stick and I watch the incense and I quiet my mind. I watch the smoke rising and all the wonderful shapes. I smell the aroma and I consider that a morning meditation. Now, this recipe combines the beautiful aroma of frankincense, that deep resinous presence that's layered with that coniferous, sweet, woody balsamic note with the lovely cypress and the sweet floral jasmine or ylang. So let's get into it a little bit, okay? Now, if you've never made your own incense stick, it's easy. It's simple. I use pre-made blank incense sticks. These incense sticks have no aroma, and I gave you a resource in the resource guide inside the class where I buy mine because they're made from all natural ingredients. You can use a long, narrow olive dish to make this. You just simply drop the essential oils into the dish, and then you dip the stick in the dish and roll it in the oils to soak it all up. So if you want to make a few at a time, you can. I often make like 10 at a time. You just have to multiply the drops. I usually use around 20 drops per stick. You could experiment with using less, but I've found 15 or 20 to be ideal. I even made a video to show you how to make these. If you have never made them, you can go to Aromahead's YouTube channel and search how to make your own frankincense forest incense sticks, and you'll find the video. It's just a quick little, I think it's a 4-minute video, and I show you how to make this recipe. So here's the picture of the stick, and I'm dipping it into the oil and soaking it. It's so easy. Couldn't be easier. After you soak the sticks, you can put them in either a paper cup or a ceramic mug and let them dry for at least 24 hours. I put them in so that the part, you see the part of the incense stick I'm holding? That's a thinner part of the stick, and that never gets any essential oil on it, so you can hold it without getting oil on your hands. So then I put the incense sticks in so that that part is sticking up out of the jar, out of the mug. Does that make sense? Okay, so you can put them in, as I said, a paper cup or a ceramic mug and let them dry at least for 24 hours because they have to be totally dry before you burn them. I also love to simply leave them in the mug and just let them sit in the room. Just let them sit out in a room because they will scent the room really well without even burning them. As a matter of fact, it might even be too strong. You might have to move them around from room to room every few days. Whatever cup you put them in to dry will really smell like the oils long after the incense is dry. So I have a mug that I reserve just for making incense because I don't like to drink out of it. I don't like my tea to taste like incense. And I also have an olive dish that I reserve just for making incense. So I have a little area in my house where I have my olive dish, my blank incense sticks, my essential oils that I use for making incense, and my mug. And so anytime I go to make incense, I'll just pull everything out and make them. And then I wash the mug and the olive dish and put it back in the same space to use the next time I make it. Okay, so I'm assuming by now that you have a really good idea about why we would use frankincense in an incense blend. I don't think I have to go back and repeat how amazing it is for incense. So let's next talk about why frankincense asked cypress to be in its forest incense blend. So cypress is used traditionally for calming when you feel overwhelmed. And I recommend using it in incense, in a diffuser, in an inhaler, when you're going through times that are significant life transitions. I feel like transitions can take a lot out of us, even if the transition is positive. But again, especially if the transition is challenging. It's like when everything around us is shifting, it just helps to have some point of stability to keep us anchored. And I feel like that's what the aroma of cypress essential oil can provide for us. So you can think of cypress like a friend holding your hand as you go through tough times. It has this very calming and centering, stabilizing, restorative presence, and it's helpful during any kind of change, such as things like moving, changing jobs, going through difficult transition, the end of a relationship, a death. Cypress just offers us this inner strength in times where there's grief or loss. It's so important to feel supported during those times. So I like to use cypress to set the tone for your day, especially during a morning ritual. Help you check in with yourself, help you feel restored, ready to move forward into your day. Now, your morning ritual doesn't have to take a lot of time. It can be 10 minutes. It could be a half hour. You could write, stretch, meditate, check your email. Just kidding. Well, maybe not. But anything that helps you connect with yourself. I like to just burn incense every morning, take the time to focus on it, and then you can even burn it while you're doing anything else that you're up to, making coffee, making tea, stretching, like I said, checking your email. All right, so beyond our use of cypress in an incense blend, cypress is traditionally used to reduce pain and inflammation. Now, if cypress essential oil could just pick you up and carry you away from pain or a cold or a sinus infection, trust me, it would. But it does the next best thing. It provides relief from congestion, and it offers emotional comfort that helps you move through pain or a respiratory issue pretty quickly. Cypress is also really great for rheumatic conditions. It's a great antispasmodic, so I like to use it for things like really restless legs or muscle spasms. Now, this is a little extra cautious, but I like to take care when I'm using cypress or eucalyptus, these tree oils. I like to take care when I'm using them with people that have breathing issues like asthma. I find that cypress can either be very helpful with bronchial asthma or a potential irritant. You really have to test it with each individual person. Have them smell the lid of the essential oil bottle. They don't have to put it right up to their nose either. They can put it, a little bit away from their nose and smell it and see if the aroma feels like it's helping them take deeper breaths. If so, then great, go ahead and use it. But if for some reason that they don't like the smell or feel like it gives them a sense that their chest is a little tighter, then I would say avoid cypress in their blends. Try cedarwood instead. It's a little gentler. All right, so let's review some of the benefits of cypress. So you can answer question 11 on your webinar worksheet. Here's the question. What are 5 great ways that cypress can help in a blend? I'm pausing so you can think about it. Okay, number 1, cypress is calming. Number 2, it can help reduce pain and inflammation. Number 3, it can help reduce congestion. Number 4, it's often used for rheumatic conditions. And number 5, it's a great antispasmodic. Now, other than the calming aspect, those are all properties when you use it topically or through inhalation, it can help reduce congestion. I just wanted to give you a sense of cypress outside of its incredible emotional impact in the incense, so that you had a broader sense of how you might use it in other ways as well as the one recipe I'm teaching you right now. Does that make sense? Let's talk about its aroma, because cypress has a beautiful aroma. It's so unique. It's woody, and it's resinous and balsamic, and it's got these really lovely smoky notes. I can't wait for you to smell it and see if you can detect the smoky notes. Now, of course, those smoky notes just add to how great it is in its aroma for an incense. And it was widely used as incense in ancient Greece and in Egypt. And it's currently used as a purification incense in Tibet. It's used around the world. Now, it was cypress's idea to add a touch of ylang-ylang or jasmine to this incense blend. Now, we've already discussed jasmine a bit, so let's talk first about ylang-ylang. Such a great oil. Here's another one that's very diffusive. Ylang-ylang helps us connect with ourselves so that we're more able to connect with the world. 2 words that come to mind when I think of ylang-ylang essential oil are strong and gentle. Strong and gentle. It's such a tender, soothing oil, but it has a very big presence. Very big presence. So strong. Usually 1 or 2 drops is enough to add to the softness and the heart of a blend and to round out the edges of a blend with its beautiful floral note. Now, the first time we saw ylang-ylang was in Belize, and I just couldn't believe how rich the scent was that came from the tree. And check this out. Looked up at the tree, and not only was it in full bloom with these flowers in the slides, but it had a colorful toucan sitting up in the branches. That was like a cherry on the top of the whole thing for me. I'm seeing my first ylang-ylang tree. I'm smelling these incredible flowers. It's in full bloom. And there's a multicolored toucan sitting in the tree. I really felt like I was dreaming. It was so incredible. So years later, we planted our own ylang-ylang trees in our front yard, and their sweet scent reaches far enough that our neighbors several houses away were actually aware when the tree was blooming, and they could breathe it and feel deeply relaxed. That's how diffusive it is, not just across the room, but down the block. Now, we currently have some ylang-ylang trees, and they don't have toucans, but several years ago, an owl made her nest and had her babies in one of our ylang-ylang trees. Now, that is aromatherapy in action. I'm just so inspired by the way that nature creates such harmony. I added ylang-ylang to this recipe for its energetic properties because it's incense. And so it's because it's one of the most deeply relaxing oils I know. And jasmine and ylang-ylang both have such calming effect on the heart. So whichever one you choose, ylang-ylang or jasmine for this blend, it will bring an intense floral aroma to the incense. And it's so nice because it's a surprise. It's like this little sparkle of floral along with the woody, resinous frankincense and cypress. And I just answered number 12 on your webinar worksheet, which is, what does the aroma of ylang-ylang or jasmine bring to the incense blend? Well, the answer is that their aromas can really help calm the heart, and they bring this beautiful floral note to the woody aroma of this blend. Now, let's focus on ylang ylang again for a minute, because along with its wonderful energetic properties, it's such a great oil to help reduce pain and swelling, and also to calm a rapid heartbeat, to heal the skin, and for cooling down. It's used to reduce anxiety. It's used to ease depression and to help people sleep. Now, here's an interesting aspect of ylang ylang for you. Check this out, okay? All right. Ylang ylang has different grades that can be created depending on the distillation process used. So I'm going to explain this to you. I frequently get asked about it. So there's different distillation times. One distillation process takes 20 to 24 hours of distilling. And during each stage of distillation, a fraction of the oil, it's called a fraction, is collected and separated and set apart. So here's how it goes. After the first hour of distillation, the oil that's collected is referred to as ylang ylang extra. It's the ylang ylang extra fraction. During the next 2 to 3 hours, they collect the oil again, and it's called ylang ylang 1, or the first fraction. Then they keep distilling, and 3 or 4 hours later, they collect the oil again, and it's called ylang ylang 2, or the second fraction. And then during the very last hours of the distillation, the oil collected is called ylang ylang 3, or the third fraction. So isn't that interesting? There's also another method of distillation called VOP, which you want to know what that stands for? This is kind of funny. It stands for very old process. So the VOP distillation method is a continuous distillation that takes a period of maybe 6 or 7 hours, and VOP distillation is uninterrupted. And at the end of it, there's an oil that's been distilled called ylang ylang complete. Now, I have to say, I've talked to a bunch of different ylang ylang distillers over the years, and each distiller has their own variation on these processes. So those hours can vary from one distiller to another, but the fractions are pretty consistent. That, you know, the first fraction is created after, you know, the first hour of distillation, hour 2, and then the next couple of hours, it's the first, and then the second, and then the third. So that's consistent, but the amount of hours is a little inconsistent. Okay, so I just want to summarize for you that ylang ylang has some great ways of supporting us. And this is the answer to webinar worksheet question number 13, which is, what are 5 great ways to use ylang ylang besides the energetic effects for the incense blend? Okay. Let me go through them. Number 1, ylang ylang can help reduce pain and swelling. Number 2, ylang ylang can help calm a rapid heartbeat and therefore ease anxiety. Number 3, it's skin healing. Number 4, ylang ylangs aroma is emotionally calming and uplifting. And number 5, it's a great oil to support sleep. I hope I went slow enough for you. Okay, so ylang ylang has this diffusive aroma, and now you know what that means. Smell it all the way down the block. It's strong, it's sweet and smooth, it's rich, it's so tropical. And once you spend time with the aroma and get through the heavy sweetness, then you can find the fruity and spicy notes underneath that. Now, we already discussed jasmine And if you prefer jasmine's aroma to ylang ylang, you could use 2 drops of jasmine in the incense instead of 2 drops of ylang. Now, cypress and frankincense usually can't decide because they love both oils. So because they love them both so much, they often use 1 drop of jasmine and 1 drop of ylang ylang. All right, so just as a reminder, jasmine's aroma is warm and floral and lily-like, and it also has some fruity, spicy notes. So it's very fun to smell jasmine and ylang ylang next to each other so you can differentiate between them because they are very different, but they have some distinct similarities. That's a really fun exercise to do. All right, you all are hanging in there. Great. I know that we've been going for an hour and a half, so good for you for hanging with me and staying here. I'm very, very happy to have you here in the class, and I'm super excited to be sharing all this information with you. All right, so Frankincense's got a great deodorant for you. I love this blend. Okay, so frankincense and coconut's fabulous deodorant. Now, this is one of my personal favorites, this recipe, and it's very different from the blends we've been discussing so far. And by the way, I've never shared this recipe before. I was saving it for this class. I worked on this formula a lot, and I came up with a great deodorant that I think you're gonna love. And you might think initially when you look at it, what, coconut oil under my arms? Come on, Andrea, it's going to be really greasy. But in fact, it's not. Because of the other ingredients in the blend, it feels dry almost immediately after you apply it. The texture is surprising. The baking soda and the arrowroot powder really change the texture from greasy to smooth, I promise. You have to check it out and let me know what you think. So here's the recipe. You use 1 ounce or 28 grams of coconut oil. You use 1 tablespoon of baking soda. You use 2 tablespoons of arrowroot powder. And you use 20 drops of frankincense, 15 drops of juniper, and 15 drops of cypress. Now, this is going to make a little bit more than 2 ounces or 60 mils. And so what I decided was to recommend a 60 ml 2 ounce glass jar and a 30 ml 1 ounce glass jar. So you won't fill them up all the way, but they won't be over the top either. So you just simply add all the ingredients to a small bowl and mix them and stir in the essential oil. It's super easy to make. The most important tip is that you want to make sure that the arrowroot powder and the baking soda don't have any lumps before you put the coconut oil in. So sometimes when you buy those powders, there's chunks. And so when you measure them, just mash them and make sure it's smooth powder. And so I usually mash my arrowroot and baking soda first in the bowl. Then I add in the coconut oil, and you don't have to melt it. I don't, I just weigh an ounce or 28 grams, and then I just put that in the bowl and I mush it all up. You can use a spoon, you can use your hands, it's for you. So whatever you want to do, you mush it all up, and then you add the essential oil, and then I would use a spoon and mix it all together. And it's smooth and it's gorgeous. So and effective, of course. So let's talk about why I chose frankincense, juniper, and cypress for this deodorant. Okay, ready? Now, remember towards the beginning of the webinar class, I talked about how frankincense really shines in a blend? Let's go back and review this because it's very relevant for this deodorant. So there's 5 things here. Frankincense is deeply relaxing and restorative. It helps us breathe more deeply as we inhale the aroma. It offers immune support. It brings pain relief to sore muscles and joints. And it's gentle and healing for the skin. So all 5 of these reasons are very relevant. First of all, how great is it to relieve anxiety, right? To be relaxing and restorative in your deodorant. And we all know that breathing more deeply reduces anxiety and gives us energy. Now, how about immune support? I mean, come on, what better role could a deodorant play besides being a deodorant? I mean, first of all, we want it to help us smell better. Well done. Then what we want whatever we put under our arms to be improving our health, not challenging it. And most commercial deodorants have ingredients that are really potentially challenging to our health, especially because we use them daily and we put them in such a vulnerable, absorptive place under our arms. In my opinion, this is a really big deal. It's as vital as using all natural cleaning products in your home. I've seen so many people improve their health by doing 2 simple things. And I promise I won't get off track here, but I just want to say this. I think 2 of the most important things you can do to improve your health are to change to all natural cleaning products and to use an all natural deodorant. Okay, I won't spend too much time on that, but I just had to slip it in, okay? And the great news is that this deodorant is also really effective. Now, you might have to reapply it midday, but isn't your health worth it? Just think of it as like reapplying a perfume. So the other 2 properties of frankincense that I mentioned here are that it brings pain relief to sore muscles and joints. Well, you might wonder how putting a blend under your arm would help with muscle pain, but if the pain is in your back or your neck or your chest, well, it's going to help. And of course, we want to apply blends for pain over the areas that are sore, but your deodorant may very well help if your pain is in your upper back or neck. And lastly, of course, frankincense is so gentle and healing for the skin, so we want it in our deodorant. Okay, so I guess you can tell I'm very excited about this deodorant and about having these 3 oils in it. So let's talk about juniper berry. Now, juniper is known to have some antifungal effects and some antimicrobial effects, both of which are great in a deodorant. And it's also a good decongestant. I mean, we normally think of the word decongestant as sinus congestion, but decongestant can also mean that we help improve circulation and reduce tissue congestion. Does that make sense? Because juniper berry is widely used for issues like edema, lymph congestion, bloating, fluid retention. All of that is basically how I think of stagnation. So while juniper is helping with these kind of fluid issues, under your arm is a perfect place. It's also helping to support the immune system. How perfect in a deodorant, right? Not to mention, frankincense and juniper are gorgeous together. They adore each other, as well as cypress. Now, if you prefer floral aromas to earthy ones, just add 1 drop of jasmine or ylang ylang to your deodorant, to this blend. And if you prefer brighter aromas, just add a drop or 2 of lemon or your favorite citrus oil to this deodorant blend. You can definitely adjust this blend to what you love. As a matter of fact, I often add one of the oranges, mandarin, tangerine, sweet orange, to this blend. I love how they smell with the piney, earthy oils. It's so fun how you can adjust the recipe for each person's aromatic preference, especially as you become more of an aromatherapy expert and you understand how to adjust recipes. This will become so much easier. Just the fact that you're here makes me know and understand that you really want to soak this up. You really want to learn a lot more about aromatherapy and blending, and of course, frankincense in particular. All right, let's talk about cypress. It's the perfect ingredient for a natural deodorant. And it's especially great if we're talking about stress-induced perspiration, because cypress is cooling, it's calming, and it definitely helps dry up moisture. And like frankincense and juniper, it can help dry a damp or inflamed situation, clear up congestion, although cypress is slightly cooler than the other two. And cypress has some antibacterial action. I even have another great quote from Gabriel Mauger. I just was so excited to bring in a couple of quotes from his beautiful book. And this one is about using cypress in a deodorant. So in Aromatherapy for Healing the Spirit, Gabriel says, cypress oil's cool, astringent nature helps to reduce excess perspiration, making it a useful and effective deodorant. I just think that's great. And I can't wait for you to try this deodorant. You definitely have to let me know how it works for you, okay? Not to get too personal or anything, but I think you're going to love it. All right, so let's go on to answering question number 14 on your webinar worksheet. What are the 3 main base ingredients in the deodorant recipe? Okay, so if you don't have the worksheet or something, you don't have it in front of you, or you don't have it, I'm just repeating the question for you. So the question again was, what are the 3 main base ingredients in the deodorant recipe? And the answer is 1 ounce or 28 grams of coconut oil, so you're weighing it, 1 tablespoon of baking soda, and 2 tablespoons of arrowroot powder. Okay, and then I put in a total of 20 drops of essential oil. I had 10 drops of frankincense, or sorry, nope, sorry. I got confused there for a second. I put in a total of 35 drops, no, sorry. 20, 35, 40, 50 essential oil drops. That's right, 50. So that's about 2 mils. And it's 20 drops of frankincense, 15 drops of juniper, and 15 drops of cypress. Okay, there you go. All these recipes took me a moment to remember. All right, so I hope that you really enjoy it. Now, I just want to reiterate something to you, because we've been winding around. I've been telling you about how to make these beautiful recipes. We've gone through 4 of them so far, 4 out of the 5. We've been going through these 7 essential oils, and some of them show up in a couple of recipes. So I just want to sort of consolidate for you for a moment and to tell you that I chose the 7 essential oils for this webinar class very carefully. I wanted you to be able to use the same 7 oils for all 5 recipes, but in different combinations, because my goal for you is to leave this class with a deep and full understanding of the 7 oils we're using in the recipes. And I put them on this slide just so we could feel all connected together. We're talking about green mandarin, citrus reticulata, jasmine absolute, Jasminum grandiflorum, juniper, Juniperus communis, elemi, Canarium luzonicum, bergamot, Citrus bergamia, cypress, Cupressus sempervirens, and ylang ylang, Cananga odorata. Okay, so those are our oils. Now, as I said, we've gone over 4 oil recipes so far. I always like to pause and summarize when I teach, so I just know that everybody feels oriented. We've gone through 2 diffuser blends, the incense blend, which is more focused on the emotional and energetic properties, and then the deodorant blend that we just discussed. And now I'm going to teach you this amazing pain blend that's more focused on the physical aspects of the oils. Okay, and here it is. It's frankincense's head and neck relief oil. This is our last recipe for the class, and it's made with 8 drops of frankincense, 5 drops of juniper, 4 drops of cypress, and just 1 drop of bergamot. Now, can you guess why there's only 1 drop of bergamot? That's because 1 drop of bergamot is below the phototoxic level that I spoke about. I spoke about phototoxicity earlier. The citruses that are phototoxic have different levels that you can use them at before they become phototoxic. And with bergamot, 1 drop in 1 ounce or 30 mils is safe to use without a phototoxic reaction topically. So we're putting all 4 of these oils into 1 ounce or 30 mils of trauma oil. I'll tell you about trauma oil in a second. And I'm really excited because, like the deodorant, this blend works really well. And I've never shared this particular recipe before. I was saving it for this class. So all 4 of these oils are known to reduce inflammation and pain, which is the primary reason I chose them for this blend. So let me tell you more about that with each of these oils. So frankincense is excellent for reducing tension, inflammation, and muscle spasms. It's great for the head and neck muscles. So it can be profoundly helpful for headaches and neck pain. It's also very helpful for joint inflammation and pain. And if the head or neck pain is due to sinus congestion by chance, this is going to be wonderful. So any swelling or muscle spasms, tight head and neck muscles, this is going to be a profoundly helpful blend. It's also just wonderful when there's congestion. Frankincense is such an excellent choice for headaches, neck and head pain, sinus congestion, and supporting the immune system and reducing the inflammation and pressure that can cause sinus headaches. So that's why we put it in this blend. Now, juniper berry, it has amazing, pretty remarkable anti-inflammatory and pain-relieving properties. And the essential oil is also warming and often used for rheumatic pain, as I mentioned earlier. So I love how it can help reduce muscle spasms, and I love combining it with bergamot, frankincense, and cypress specifically for muscle spasms. Now, lots of head and neck pain come from tight, tense muscles and can be greatly reduced with this blend of oils. But I put a picture of a knee on here specifically because I want you to know that just because I'm calling this a head and neck blend doesn't mean that you couldn't use it on another joint, on another area of the body that's feeling tense, painful, swollen. So I use my head and neck blend for knees that are sore, for shoulders, for low back, for elbows. So don't get stuck just on the name. Even though the intention is there, that's the amazing thing about essential oils. It can be broader than just the name of the blend. Okay, so cypress essential oil is another one that's used traditionally for pain and inflammation. And in traditional medicine, cypress was really well regarded for its decongestant actions, eliminating mucus in the respiratory system. So this can really help if the head and neck pain, again, is related to allergies, sinus congestion, and pressure, which I know a lot of neck pain is. So I wanted to just mention that. And then finally, bergamot. Bergamot will also help reduce inflammation and pain. And it's especially got this potential when there's a lot of depression and anxiety and pain resulting from that, which is not that unusual because bergamot is so emotionally uplifting and it's antispasmodic. It can help reduce tight muscle spasms. So the combination is amazing. Now, remember I mentioned that the aroma of bergamot doesn't have a typical citrus aroma because it has that sharp top note where we get that initial citrus impact and then we get these softer, sweet middle notes and the lemony note and the neroli and peppery note. So I just wanted to repeat that because the aroma is complex and it goes beautifully with the other oils in this blend. It goes so beautifully with cypress and juniper and frankincense. It brings the blend up. It really invigorates the blend. So we've been talking now about 7 different oils and 5 different blends. So just for clarity, I have question 15 on the webinar worksheet for you. Which 4 essential oils did we choose for relieving pain and inflammation for the head and neck blend? So this will help consolidate for you. And the answer, of course, for the head and neck blend, we chose frankincense, juniper, cypress, and bergamot. So there are a lot of great oils for head and neck pain, but I wanted to focus on these 4 with you so you could get a strong feel for how they work together and individually. Now let's discuss the carrier oil, trauma oil. Trauma oil is just amazing all by itself, and I know that a lot of you already know this oil, but just in case you don't, I have to just tell you that it's made from 3 herbally infused flowers. It's an herbal infusion process with 3 flowers, usually done in olive oil: arnica flowers, St. John's wort flowers, and calendula flowers. So it doesn't have much aroma, and it is incredibly powerful to reduce pain and inflammation all on its own. But with the oils added, it's even extra beneficial, and that's why I added it into this blend. Okay, so we've done the 5 blends. Congratulations. It's been almost 2 hours, and I am so excited to have this last piece for you. Can you hang in there? And then we're going to go into the Q&A, which will be a little more interactive. Okay, so here's the bonus. I have 7 great frankincense hydrosol tips for you. So let's first discuss what's a hydrosol. Hydrosols are made from the water that's used when we're distilling a plant. So in every distillation, we have 2 resulting products. We have an essential oil and a hydrosol. The hydrosol contains the water-soluble parts of the plant that were distilled. The hydrosols are much less concentrated, much less concentrated than the essential oils, and they're still very therapeutic. The great news is that they can be used safely undiluted on your skin. They can be used with children, with babies, and even with small animals. So hydro is a prefix that means water, and sol stands for solution. So hydrosol means water solution. Hydrosols are a really unique product. They are truly a part of the distillation, and plants are actually distilled for hydrosols in and of themselves, not just for the essential oil. So hydrosols are the pure healing waters produced during distillation. And I just answered webinar worksheet question number 17, which is, what's a hydrosol? And the simple answer is that they are pure healing waters produced during distillation. And you can even add to that answer, and you can say that during every distillation, we have 2 resulting products: an essential oil and a hydrosol. And be sure to note for yourself that the hydrosols are much less concentrated and very safe to use all on their own. So frankincense hydrosol is really calming and centering and skin loving. And with that in mind, there are a lot of ways we can use it. One is you could spritz it on your face as a toner after washing. I think you'll be impressed with how wonderful your skin feels after using it for just a few days. It's hydrating, it's moisturizing, nourishing, it feels great. Your skin will love you and even start to ask you for the hydrosol daily. You can use it not just on your face, but as a body spritz after your shower. Frankincense hydrosol can help reduce redness, irritation, and support healing for areas of your skin that could even feel challenged: irritated, red, dry. Emotionally, the aroma is centering and calming, just like the essential oil. I love getting out of the shower, drying off, and then spritzing myself with the hydrosol. You could add a capful of the hydrosol to your bath water, all on its own. Frankincense hydrosol is an exceptional aromatic treasure for the skin. It's rejuvenating and nourishing. So if you're a bath person, I think you're going to love this idea. The aroma is just transformative. It can help you shift your emotions to feeling really balanced, and your skin will feel so nourished, and you don't have to dilute it. You can just fill the bathtub with water and take a capful of your frankincense hydrosol. Now, I'm just going to clarify, I'm not talking about the essential oil. I'm talking about the hydrosol. And put a capful of your hydrosol in the bath water. You don't even need any essential oil. It's gorgeous. You can spray the hydrosol on your face to refresh during the day. When I travel, I always take a small bottle of frankincense hydrosol with me. I use it on the plane where it keeps my skin hydrated, and during any long days, it's immediately rejuvenating. If anything ever feels stressful, I just spritz it on and feel so uplifted. The aroma is calming and uplifting. Remember we were talking about that? You can use it as a linen spray before bed. And this might end up being your new favorite habit. If you're someone that has trouble falling asleep, try spraying frankincense hydrosol on top of the covers, under your pillow. It's so soothing, and I bet you decide to spray some on your skin too. It's really awesome on hot summer nights right before you lay down to sleep. Okay, 2 more. Ready? You can use it as a facial steam. Okay? A facial steam. Add a capful to a bowl of hot water. Lean over the bowl and cover your head with a towel and breathe deeply. You can add 1 drop of frankincense essential oil if you like. And this is going to be so nice for your skin. Or let's say you feel a cold coming on. Try steaming with the hydrosol and a drop of essential oil. And lastly, you can spray it on your yoga mat before you begin a practice, or around the space where you're sitting doing your beautiful morning ritual of watching the smoke of the beautiful incense that you made. Just spritz it on your mat or spritz it where you're sitting. If you're putting it on your mat, I suggest leaving it there for a few minutes and then wiping it off so your mat's dry before you start using it. And the aroma will just support your morning ritual, whatever that might be. Okay, everybody, I hope you have a really good sense now of who frankincense is and how the essential oil and the hydrosol can really help support your health. I hope you also have a better sense of frankincense's close friends and how they support frankincense in all 5 of the recipes that we went over in this webinar class. I'm going to end this section of the webinar class now, and I'm going to move into the Q&A. And this is going to be a separate recording. The Q&A is going to be in a separate section. So when you're going to your class at AromaHead, there's going to be this webinar class, and then there's going to be the Q&A section separately. Okay? So for those of you who are on the webinar live right now, I'm going to answer all your questions related to frankincense, and I want to warmly thank you for being here. I hope you've had an excellent time so far and learned a lot.